are recording this so that that other people could view it later. But these are the things that we're going to cover. We're going to cover how to assign the digital assessments. We're going to look at what does it look like from the student side? How do they get on? What does it look like from their view? Then last, we're going to look at how do you access those reports and what's in those reports for you. So, let me escape that. The very first thing for this is when I went to a training about it, I was told some random place to go. Go to Slate, go to here, go to there. The one place you go to is my.aps.edu. That is where our single sign-on of Clever is. Even though people say ClassLink, our actual single sign-on is Clever. And in that aspect, we have to use this to get the digital assessments. If you do it like I do, go in the old way, oragoslate.com, you'll get everything except for the digital assessments. The reason being is our digital assessments are assigned through Synergy. If you are not assigned a class, you will never see this side of it at all. So that being the case, you may have to ask a teacher and follow along with them. By the way, I'm trying out something new today, 2 screens. So if I'm looking away, I'm looking at this screen, so I apologize up front. As we all know, I told several people earlier, I feel like this is my first year ever of teaching. It's such a huge learning curve that it's just like, oh my goodness gracious. So I'm trying something new. We all got to try that. Log into your my.aps.edu. And in this, you will go to your dashboard. And in your dashboard, the place that you'll want to head towards is your employees. I think it's employee resources when it finally gets there. Don't you guys love technology? All right. So I'm going to go to my employee resources, and one of the resources will be Oracle Slate. And you got to make sure it's the staff one. If you click into that, you hopefully have seen this Clever logon, and it will say Clever logging you in. And yeah, it's just right here. From there, it will take you to Slate, your home Slate. So hopefully you guys all noticed that they added a brand new channel for you. It's the big books for the K2 people. So hopefully if you haven't noticed that before, look for it. I was really excited because I'm like, how am I supposed to read this book through the Big Book Tunes when they do that singing? And I'm like, the kids might like it. I just want to have the actual book up, and that was very nice.
I'm sorry, where do we go once we get to myaps.edu?
You go to employee resources, and then from there you will go into Slate, Oracle Slate.
It kind of looks mustardy color.
Yeah, if I went back to here, my.aps.edu, you can see under employee resources, I have Slate right here. From there, you will get into our stepping stones. And just to let you guys all know, the digital assessments rolled out about March, April time last year. And like I didn't even know they were there until the very beginning of this year. So it got rolled out, but because of COVID, a lot of things kind of got stunted on how the rollout was happening. So just letting you guys know, what you'll do is you'll go up to your module, your breadcrumbs, and what you'll do, you notice one thing that is in there. If you were in regular Slate, you would never see is the digital assessments. You would click into digital assessments, and then you pick what you want to do, the pretest or the checkups. So just giving you guys a heads up, all the formative assessments are not in here. It's only the summative-like assessments.
And also just a note, because you notice you went to first grade. It is only 1st through 5th grade. There are none in there for kindergarten, and she's going to explain that here in just a little bit. But that is because mostly the interview, it's really more necessary to do like an interview with those students that are first coming in. rather than have them do a format such as this.
All right, so we'll go into pretest. Once you get in there, you will have to select your class. For most of you and most people, it'll be the one class. If you have multiple classes, you'll have to pick that other class. Then from there, what will pop up is all the pre-assessment or summative assessments that you could pick. In here, we have our English and Spanish pretest. What you'll do is you'll create a link. So if you click on it, it will create the link and this will pop up. These links are good for 2 weeks. So you can work on it and then put it into your Google Classroom or Seesaw and assign it a week from now. So they're good for 2 weeks. You can copy URL, you can click on the QR code and you can paste that in your Google Classroom or post it in your classroom, maybe in the spring, whatever you would like. But the one thing that I wanted to point out before you move past any of this is the settings. There are 4 settings that we're able to do. The first one has been disabled and I don't know yet why that's the case. So the randomize the questions has been disabled. We're not allowed to randomize. Sorry about that. The second thing on here is requiring flagged items to be removed before submission. What that means is, I'll show you in a little bit when we get onto the student side. The students are able to flag things just like the old SBA for science. The kids could flag it and go back to it later. The same thing is here with Origo. You can flag it and then never come back to it. By you clicking on this means that they have to go back to anything they flag and just unflag it. That doesn't mean they have to answer it. They just have to unflag it.
Tammy, can you really quick show them how did you go into that settings tab? Because they did not see that quick enough. So right now, if you're kind of following along, we've gone through the grade level. And then in that grade level, you go into a module. You would be able to go to that breadcrumb, look at the breadcrumbs across the top to digital assessment and pretest. And then you have options of whether to do it in English and Spanish. And she's going to show you the how to find the settings right now.
So as she said, I just went to the module, digital assessments. I went to pretest, or you can go to the checkups. When I got here, this is where I had to pick my class that I wanted to assign the test to. And then what popped up, it just automatically popped up once I assigned a class to it, was the options that I could pick from. And right now with my pretest, it's only the pretest in English and then in Spanish. This question has come up a lot. The question is could I get a link and give it to all my first grade teachers? The answer is yes and. Yes, you could do that. My and to that is if those kids go in through that link, they are now going to be, their data is going to go to only the one person. So each teacher, if they're wanting to see their individual students' data, they need to assign their own link to this assessment. So going right here where I was in the settings, which is right here in this little wrench or cog. And we had talked about the randomization. We had talked about the flagging. And the next one is the one that I highly, highly, highly recommend you check off. And what this one is just as it says, kids cannot submit their test unless they have answered every question. There's always a yes and to that. As long as they've put googly goop in there, it still will submit it. This does not make them go in and give a reasonable answer. So just giving you guys a heads up. But it does make them put something in there. And then the last one is require code for submission. This is just like the SBA. If any of you have ever given that test, the kids to end it had to have a code put in, and then it would submit it. I would probably only do that when you're back face-to-face with the kids, because this is them putting a code, you coming over, looking at it, and then putting in a code and allowing them to submit it. So that one probably would not be good for right now. All right. Then all you do from there is that's the teacher end of it. That's all you have to do to assign it. I'm going to stop for a second to make sure that there's no questions on that piece of it.
Some folks are saying that they're not able to find a classroom attached to them. Why might that be? And then they also wanted to say, can you clarify one more time why we clicked the flag one? Sorry.
Sure. So this is linked to Synergy. So if you do not have a class, you will never see this. If you do have a class and you do not see the digital assessments, we need to talk to Synergy and figure that out because it's all linked through there. We can always say the yes and to this because I have worked through online syncing with Pearson for years. And the issue with that is what happens is APS doesn't share, technically let a communication back and forth between the publisher and them. They actually do a download, a dump every night and then send it off. And because of that, each company is receiving a brand new dump every night versus a continued communication. And what happened with Pearson is they ended up having like, or even ST Math, this has happened to. They've had like 100 different things, and people kept going, why are my kids keep coming in and out when they've left? And why is this? It's because the company has to purge the old downloads, the old dumps before they bring in the new, and sometimes that doesn't quite happen. So please, if you have kids and are not able to see them through here, let us know, and we'll help you get in contact with SIS to figure out what's going on.
And I will pop our email addresses in the chat so they'll have those as well.
Yes, thank you. For the flagged one, that one you would only, what it does is the flagged one, kids can flag as they're going into each questions, it's a visual reminder to go back to a certain question. And that one tells them they have to unflag it if they come back. So let me show you that one again. So it's this one right here, the required flagged items to be removed before submission. It just tells the kids unflag. Once they unflag, they can then submit it. All right. Please stop us if you have questions because yes, I forget and I move very fast through things. And if you need me to slow down, just tell me. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop my sharing and I'm going to move into another, what is Chrome and Safari?
Browser.
Thank you. You guys, it's 3:30. I'm gonna go into another browser and I'm gonna show you the student side of it. So when you get into it, you will take that link that we had just shown and just copied. You will take that link and put it in your Google Classroom or Seesaw. From there, what the kids will do, it will be assignment however you assign it. The kids will click into it. And I probably should be sharing this, huh? Okay, present. There we go. So you will take that link, put it in your Google Classroom. When they click on that link, somehow my link did not copy.
We don't see your window yet, but it looks like you're working on it.
Do you see this?
I do see a new browser.
Okay. All right. Wow, it's being a little pill with the copying. Let's try again. Jeez. Let me try that. I must have too many windows open. Ugh. All right, I'll type it in, hand type it in.
I would start singing, but I don't think you guys want to hear me. I can hum.
See if that gets us there.
Some folks are saying their internet is slow. If you're on Xfinity this afternoon.
Okay, perfect. It took us, can you see this clever now, the clever
Yes,
window?
we can.
Perfect. So what happens is the kids, the very first time that they click on that link, it will take them to our single sign-on clever. Remember, APS is very, they hold tight all the student information, all anything test scores with the kids. That being the case is you always have to go back into Clever to see that. So the very first time they are here, this kid is from SY Jackson. What we have been hearing from people that have been doing it is the kids have been typing in the full school name and they're not finding us. Finding, like Whittier was one of the examples. If that's the case, just have them type in a few letters to the school like I have done for SY Jackson. And then for me, it popped right up. And if you'll notice I'll even put Jackson and it will disappear, or the J. So if that happens, just tell them to start with one letter and just keep going. Again, this is the only time they have to do it unless they clear their cache or browser history. If they've done that, then they have to repeat this. From there, you will, every single time from now on, they will have to click in this login with LDAP. Don't ask me what that means. I have no clue. And they'll just have to log in. From here, the kids will put in their normal information for logging into a network computer. So their username is always their ID number. I lost my mouse. There we go. And their password is whatever password that they have either made themselves, but normally elementary, you guys assign a password. And again, it's the password for any network computer. Anytime they log into a Google Chromebook or anything like that, it is that password. Or if they're going to get into Student View, it's that password. Again, you'll see we're logging into Clever. And then what will pop up is normally the name of the test. And then it will just say start. I have a feeling I've already assigned this one, so you're not going to see that very, very first page. What the kids will have to do is just click start. Yeah, I've already assigned this one and I've already gone in here. So Zach, what I always tell kids to do is double check that they're on the correct test and it is their name, because we don't ever want them to go in and just like this happened several times with ST Math, where they would go in and one kid would give all the kids their passwords for that one kid, and there was about 5 kids working on one kid's ST Math progress. So we want to make sure that they double check it's their name. Then, as you can see, we have what I had talked about, the flagged items. Just like with the SBA, the old SBA, they can flag an item to come back to later. They can click an item to go to that item. Now you notice it does prompt them and tell them that it's been unattempted. So they give visual reminders over and over again to the kids that, this doesn't look right. Maybe you might want to rethink this. Now, earlier you saw that there could have been multiple choice. There could be fill in the blank, like this one, where they have to click on it. It's a little bit more digitally accessible versus just fill in the blank. One other thing they can do is they can click save, just as they do with the SBA. Save means that they save what they've done so far. They can come back to it later. This is like in the classroom if they need to go to the bathroom. They can leave this up and hit resume, or they can quit it. Like if they're at home and can't do it right now, they can quit and come back to it later.
Tammy, really quick, they have a question about whether or not it will read the instructions to the students.
No, it will not.
Will it do it through those snap and reads? Could they utilize the snap and read for it to read across?
It might be able to do snap and read, but it doesn't read it on its own. So you would have to have something outside of Origo's digital assessments to read to it, to read to the student. We have here, which again, it's just full screen. Then the question mark is just if there is some help. Let me go back, and these arrows, left and right arrows, these are just the advancements. I can advance to the next question. And again, just like it did last time, it told me you haven't attempted everything. Are you sure you want to keep going? I'll say yes. And you can see here, we also have fill in the blanks for the kids. What happens when you click into this, up pops a keyboard for the kids where they can actually type in 7, 8. If for the older grades or different modules, the operations will show up, add, subtract, multiply, divide, equal sign. Whatever they'll need to help solve that problem will pop up in this keyboard, as well as the kids could use their keyboard on their computer. They can use that as well. Then,
all right, I have a couple of questions really quick, Tammy. I just want to make sure that somebody just tried to snap and read and it worked. So
perfect.
That does work
for
for the reading.
Much for doing that for us.
And then they also asked about, is there a way that you can just ask for certain standards to be addressed, or is it just going to be the ones for the module? And the question really pertains around the essential standards, because there's certain ones, you know, that are going to be more important in a module and the way that Stepping Stones lays it out.
Yes. So the Stepping Stones does not have it where you can split it out by standard. It's pretty much you assign it as is. That being said, you can tell the kids to do certain questions and ignore other questions. It will skew the reports on when I show you the reports on the other end, but you can look through that and make sure it's looking at just the questions you want. Now, the last thing that everyone asks is, how do the kids submit the test? This button right here, finish, once they click that finish, all this information, it will grade it and send it right off to you to be in your reports. This is all pre-graded. You don't have to grade anything on this. My yes and to that is these are just fill in the blank, drag and drop, just a few things like that. If you're wanting to really know what the kids are thinking, I highly suggest to do a short formative assessment tasks, assign that, have them do it, and have them turn that in. So that is it on the student side. Is there any questions on the student side of the assessment?
So they're asking if they could be the same as the paper assessments. So is that something that could be, this is going to go all through digitally through a link. So I guess if they didn't ask for that and just asked to, you know, go to that resource bundle and print this out, they could send that through?
Yes, if you're, is the question, are you wanting this to be a PDF, or is the PDF version that's already made the same as this?
I believe that might be what it is. It says, are the assessments the same as the paper assessments? They said, sorry if they missed that info.
No, actually, from my understanding, they pretty much are. They've just been made usable here through digitally access.
All right. And then somebody else mentioned, this was just a suggestion. They said they suppose they could take screenshots of the assessment and supplant it into Seesaw with voice directions that could be used for like a younger student, like a 5 or a 6-year-old that needs that support. But that also might be something that you look at those digital guides that Tammy popped in at the beginning of the session. And there are like some screenshots where you could kind of tell them this is how you could walk them through it, almost give them a guide of how to navigate the system once they get into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I do not know the answer about I do not know the answer about snap and read in Spanish. Does anybody know if it reads them in Spanish? I know it will read it to them in English. Do we know if it will read them in Spanish?
You can change the language.
Okay, perfect. So yes.
All right. So with the digital assessments, the last thing that I wanted to show you was the reports. So when you go into There we go. You notice the one thing I hadn't talked about was the reporting. You click right here into the reporting, and what it does is it takes you to
Really quick, Tammy, if a student cannot finish the test and they go back to it, will it save their place?
So they have to click save. If they click save, they can quit and then come back to it at a later time. If they do not click save, they've lost everything.
And we also had a question about like the access to the workbooks, the student journals. That is coming soon with a new platform they call Origo Access. Right now, there is no way to link it directly to a platform, but that is coming with the new platform soon. Hopefully sooner than later.
Our workaround that we have done with that is we have gotten Origo to okay us to take all the student journals and download them as PDFs. So you are allowed to do that and attach behind a wall, meaning your Google Classroom or your Seesaw. I only technically have a minute left. So if you have to leave at 3:45, please do so. I apologize for going over. For some reason, I didn't think this would take more than 30 minutes, but please, if you can stay, I'll finish the presentation. On the reports, I went to digital assessment reporting, and you'll notice since I had assigned a test, the reports popped up for me. So I can copy this URL and I can put it in a new tab and paste that into a new tab. And what again, APS really hoards the student information. So this is going to be taking me back to Clever, back into APS, where APS is housing this information. And from there, what happens is it's just like the breadcrumbs from last time. We got to pick what we want to view. In here, you got to pick your grade, whatever grade you assigned. I assigned a first grade. I'm going to assign Miss Alvis. And now I can make a decision. Do I want to look at it whole class, just how is my class doing, or how a certain student is doing? If I look at it whole class, and then I have to pick the assessment. So I'm going to pick my first assessment. Right now, you cannot see any data because this teacher has not assigned this test. In a second, I'll show you what it can look like. The other thing I wanted to show on this page is the export and print. So you can export it in a CVS, which is an Excel spreadsheet, a PDF. The other thing, which is great, is the assessment template. If you ever want to know what it looks like from the student side, you can put that up, and now you actually get to see what the students see. So now I can see the whole assessment as is throughout that. Then let me go into the class reports. And in the class reports, it's just a general look at it. You can see it by question, individual questions of who got what right. My only little caveat with that is if it's like a two-parter and the kids miss one of the parts, it's going to show on here that they got the whole question wrong. So just be aware of that. And now because Synergy, which is our gradebook, does not talk to this, you will have to take that score and put it into the gradebook if you utilize the gradebook. That's where you could probably tweak and edit that. You can see it by domain. You can do it by operations, your fractions, however you want to do that. You can see it by individual clusters. So this is kind of what you guys were asking earlier. It's like, I can't assign the test by a certain standard, but now I can look at it by a cluster. And I can also by individual standard and then item score analysis. The other way to see it, which I think is really cool, is if you delve deep into it by the student, you can see it by the question for the student, domain, cluster, standard, item score analysis. But if you click on the actual name of the test in the report, that right there, the Common Core Grade 3 Test 1, if I click in that, I can actually see what the kids answered on each of the questions. And I can really work through what are their misconceptions and what are their strengths and how can I really support those strengths and kind of tweaking with those misconceptions. I was about to say something and I've lost it. I'm just double checking that I went over everything. Oh, the data. The data can only be seen by you, the teacher. If a principal, a data coach, or a PLC wants this data, you're going to actually have to download the data and send it out. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that.
Tammy, really quick, if they're interested in having, some of them are wanting to know if we could they could have the recording. The recordings are going to be available. But if this is something you would still want support with presenting to your staff, reach out to Tammy and myself. You can submit a ticket, and we can help with presenting that to your staff, maybe in a longer format, since you guys all had such wonderful questions. So just to let you know, that is an option still available to you.
The recordings will be on the TLN Hub. We keep advertising that. There is actually a TLF page on the Hub now, and we are going to actually have the link to a CNI YouTube channel, which will have all of the recordings on there. So be looking for it on the Hub. It's not there yet, but it should be there in the next day or two.
And real quick question about Origo Connects. No, the district did not purchase it. You would have to purchase it as a license yourself. Right now, I think it's a $300 per class. It's normally, I think they said $375, and it's not something the district has purchased. It's something that Origo just pushed out. But you would have to purchase a license in order to access that site.
And that is replacing At Home with Origo.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's everything that we have. If you would like to stay and ask us questions, please feel free to. But thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.